Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We have been seeing absolutely shocking demonstrations in USA, and they are oriented against police. The police, which is supposed to protect people, and it's quite possible there are always bad apples. But to term the police as anti-human being, as prejudiced and racist as a whole, takes a cake. But what's happening in India is still worse. There is no popular upsurge against police. Absolutely no. There have been cases, and number of them, I don't deny it, where police has been extremely provocative as representative of repressive policy violating all rights. But have they been doing it out of prejudice? I don't think so. They have been doing it under political compulsion. The latest two incidents in India, one was the death of a criminal against whom 60 cases are pending in the courts of law. And he was still roaming about without any fear, without any let, without any hindrance. And the other was in Telangana, who had raped and killed a girl. So police arrested him and then they say they killed him in self-defense. So much was the anger against that killing that the Supreme Court had to intervene rather injudiciously and ordered a high-level inquiry. Agreed, police has no right to kill. But has the police right to be killed by the criminals? If they kill in self-defense, what's wrong with that? And in the case of this person from UP, against whom there are 60 cases pending of murder, rape, robbery, who was convicted, rather charged with murder of a minister inside the police station. And yet so much was the fear that there was not a single witness against him. These people spread fear and nobody comes against him, and then their political connections. So even the police started, and here, when he killed 8 policemen, the anger was there, palpable anger. And he was arrested, and according to the police, he tried to run away, and in the shooting that ensued, he was injured and he later on died. There may be truth in the fact that he was killed in an encounter. Encounter is a typical fight between the criminal where it's a concocted encounter. Encounter in India are never meant to be real fight between the police and the criminals. It is when the police wants to eliminate and liquidate a criminal, and they know that the justice in India is not slow. It doesn't move at all. There have been cases when the cases have been pending for more than 60, 70 years. So the police knows that the political law will let the criminal go or the courts will let him go. Imagine a person with 60 criminal cases is roaming around, killing people, killing police officers. So what's the reaction of the people? 90% of the people are very happy. Some people, especially the political opponents, are unhappy because they have another stick to beat the government around. As one friend on the Facebook put it, that he went to the temple of Shiva and Mahakal. Mahakal is the god of death. Prayed there and came back, and then police sent him back to Mahakal. Nice way of putting it. But let's know it. Is extrajudicial killing to be tolerated? The immediate response to it would be no. But still the people welcome it. People welcome it because they are aware of the vagaries of the justice which will never be there. They are aware that all these criminals are essentially ears, eyes, and hands of the political leaders who are themselves criminals, are, in almost every case, with a few minor exceptions, are providing patronage to these criminals when they come handy at the time of voting, where they have got to put fear in the people, in the minds of the people, or to buy people, where they are going to take over property. So these criminals have political patronage. And the second problem in India is that the police is under the politicians, it's not autonomous, it's not an independent agency. As a matter of fact, police should be an independent agency, but it is not. The case in Gujarat, for example, just 2 days back, the minister's son was roaming around without mask after the curfew hours, and the police cop, a lady, Sunita Yadav, who wanted to charge him with an offense because he had committed two offenses. One, he was without a mask. Second, he was violating the curfew. The result, this cop was transferred and has been put on leave, administrative leave. What a travesty of justice. You are punished for doing your job. So if a criminal commits an act of murder of a minister and yet gets bail the second day, and not a single witness appears before the court of law, what do you say? Is it a fault of the police or is it the fault of the political leadership? And then the people are aware that they will never get justice, so they are happy when such encounters take place. There are police officials who are known to be encounter specialists, and they are quite experts in staging encounters and killing and the people lionize them, people worship them, people love them, because for them these encounter specialists are saviors. And yet the custodians of human rights and the political people say no, the police should be punished. No, police should not be punished. Imagine the High Court of a state orders that every case of death should be registered as a FIR, first information report as an act of murder. And these are the 5 judges of the High Court who gave a unanimous judgment that all deaths by the police during judicial custody should be registered. I can understand they should be registered as matters of study, but then what are SI used for? Special investigation units, which are the internal watchdog. They are supposed to inquire. Why should those police officers against whom the charge is there that they have killed person be subject to a criminal complaint against them that they have committed a murder? So naturally they'll say, okay, hell with it. Let the people go away. Why should we be charged and defend ourselves in the court of law that we have committed a murder? And the onus is on them to prove that it was not a murder, it was an actual encounter, or even if the death is from the natural causes. Not only that doctor has certified it, but it must go to a court of law. And then to fight it out, and then the court will say, yes, it is because of natural causes and not because of the torture by the police. So the whole system is rotten in India. The law and order system is absolutely rotten to the core, stinking. And the people are, that's why, jubilant when a criminal is killed by the police, whether properly or just as a piece of a staged encounter, whatever that cause may be. But the result is the criminal has been eliminated. Now, as I said earlier, there are two parties responsible for it. One is the politicians, other is the absolutely non-moving, incompetent judiciary. Judiciary in India is competent as far as the high faulting, but then they are very, very lethargic and proactive in favor of human rights of the criminal, not of the victim. That's the tragedy of the liberalism. That is, the victim is at the receiving end of the stick, both from the criminal and from the state and the judiciary. Second is the police is working at the behest of the politicians. As a matter of fact, what should be done is police should be made independent agency with its board of governance, and the politicians should have absolutely no role either in the appointments or in the transfers or in the punishments. Here, politicians take hush money for appointing people, they take hush money for transferring people, and if the police doesn't act as the couriers of corrupt money, then they are either transferred or terminated. So the first thing to do is police commissions have been at galore. At least 5 reports of the police commissions are gathering dust. And every report has, without any hesitation, and one last report was by Alok Mukherjee, who was the chair of the Toronto Police Board. He was invited and he did it. And then, can you believe it? All these reports are consigned to the cold storage. So the first thing should be to pass a law abolishing the political control, establishing police, either as a municipal police, again as an independent agency, so that the transfers don't take place, they take place only in that area. Here now what can happen is in a state as large as UP, an officer can be transferred 1,000 kilometers away from his home, absolute new surroundings. So it should be a specialized police, or rather a unit of police, independent, each one, and then there can be a coordinating board of governors. The system in Canada is excellent, where each municipality owns the police, but police is not under the control of the mayor. And that's what the way it should be. Caesar's wife has got to be above suspicion, and police is a Caesar's wife. So that's one thing. Second, any politician trying to interfere should be punished in an exemplary fashion so that others are careful not to interfere in the working. Thirdly, the magistracy and the judiciary should wake up to their responsibilities and see, when they see a hardened criminal, they should punish the criminal rather than only punishing the victim. And that's what happens in majority of the cases. These simple things, if made into law and practice, can re-establish the faith of the people in police. And let me tell you very frankly, policemen are essentially human beings. They have no desire to kill. They are forced by the circumstances, either by the political leaders to do so. And sometimes their righteous anger that this criminal who has committed 60 murders and still is going scot-free, why should people suffer and we suffer? Well, let's destroy. But if the normal law and order's chariot goes on, the chariots of justice which don't move at all, if they move properly, then the sense of frustration would not be there. and they would not be indulging in such malpractices, even if they do now, as some of them do. I don't deny it. But essentially, what is to be done is free police from the clutches of the politicians, make judiciary responsive to the needs of the people, victims, not of the criminals. Let the human rights advocates think of the human rights of the criminals, as was here in Canada. In Ontario, one shopkeeper put the shoplifter and did not let him go till the police came. And he was charged with illegal confinement. How stupid! So had to be changed, and Prime Minister Harper did so. But then that's what I'm saying. The liberal system has got to change. It has to be more human and humane. Until that time, encounters will keep on being there. And anti-police feelings fomented by the politicians and the so-called again liberals are an expression of their selfish motives. Best is to ignore them. And what President Trump did yesterday in refusing to help Minnesota rebuild because the governor had failed to take action. Law and order has to be established. Crime must be punished without fear. Then there'll be no need of the encounters. Otherwise, they'll continue to be a part of South Asian culture, and who knows? The infection might spread to the other world as parts of the world as well. So it's necessary to take preventive steps today. Otherwise, there's no hope, and the journalists would only be writing for or against, depending on their affiliation, not on what the reality is. Criminals will continue to thrive, and the politicians will continue building up their empires and their bank balances. Let's hope that simple measures like making police independent, free from the clutches of the politicians, having autonomous governance with watchdogs, of course, and making judiciary responsive to the needs of the victims would go a long way in stopping this need of encounters which exists today. Think about it. Thank you.